Hello student, this is Pallav Darbari, your host, and you're watching Pallav Darbari classes. In this video, we will discuss Indian Economic Development Class 12th, Chapter 7, Employment. This is the second volume of the chapter, Employment. In this video, we will discuss Casualization and Informalization. Firstly, we should know what is the meaning of jobless growth. Listen, we know that economic growth implies growth in the GDP. In a very simple word, we know that economic growth means what? It means that more and more people are contributing in the production activities. Since the contribution in the production will be measured in terms of GDP, so economic growth is always linked with growth in GDP. So in terms of the GDP, we can say that economic growth means growth in GDP. But in a very simple word, we can say economic growth means more and more people are contributing in production activities. Over the year, India has experienced positive growth in the GDP. अगर हम लोग कुछ सालों की बात करते हैं, so what is the thing which we have noticed? We have seen that there is a growth, there is a positive growth in the GDP. It means that people's contribution in the production activities has increased. But opposite to that, employment is not generating with the same pace. Contribution in the GDP has increased, but the contribution in the employment is not increasing. What is the reason behind it? The reason are many that we will discuss later on, but this growth in the GDP with a slow growth in the employment is called jobless growth. So what is jobless growth? Jobless growth means this is a situation in which economy is growing but the job is not generating in the economy. Try to see the reason behind it. The prime reason for the jobless growth is that the growth in the GDP has been brought about by employing modern and the improved technology which has subsided labor with the machineries. In a very simple word, we can say that with the growth in the GDP, more and more entrepreneurs start shifting from the labor intensive to the capital intensive technique. Because of which what is happening? It means that the employment is not being generated anymore. Why? Because there is a shift because of the economic growth. The entrepreneur has opted the capital intensive technique and they have quit the labor intensive technique. One reason. Second reason is we know that in the agriculture sector the unemployment is there. So wherever or whenever the rural people see the opportunity, they rush towards it. They try to grab towards that opportunity. And we know that the industries are not absorbing that much labor force. Why they are not absorbing? Because in the industries there is already a shift from the labor to the capital intensive technique. So the industrial sector is totally unable to absorb the increased migrated rural population. So this is the another reason for the unemployment. The next reason is we know that MNCs plays a very important role in the economic growth or provide employment. But the problem is the MNCs only provide job to the educated and technically skilled manpower. And the percentage of the skilled and the technically sound manpower in the workforce is less. So the major portion of the population is left unemployed. This is another reason. Now come to the main thing, that is casualization of the workforce. What is casualization of the workforce? When we're talking about the casualization of the workforce, we can say that there has been always a shift from the regular salaried employed and self-employed toward the casual employment. So the shift from the salaried employed and the self-employed toward the daily wager or the casual employment is called casualization of the workforce. From 1973 till 2000, we have seen that hired workers has increased from 23% to the 33%, and the percentage of the self-employed has declined from 62 to 52. So there is a fall by 10%. And this continuous rise in the percentage of the casually hired workforce is called the casualization of the workforce. Try to find out the reason behind it. We know that the majority of the population in India is engaged in agriculture sector. This sector suffers from seasonal unemployment, disguised unemployment. This means that the number of the workers engaged in farming is more than what is required on farms, thus the slightest opportunity boosts the people or encourage the agriculture workers to migrate from rural to the urban area for the better employment. This is the reason for the casualization. So what they do when they migrate, they leave the farms, they and prefer the casual job. Since they only get the casual job. Why they only get the casual job? Because they are not educated, they are not skilled, so they only get the temporary job. Now let us see what is informalization of the workforce. We know that the workforce can be divided into two categories. One is the formal sectors and the informal sectors. So the workforce is being absorbed in the formal sector or in the informal sectors. Let us see what is informal sector. It is when we are talking about informal sector is unorganized sector of an economy. It includes all private enterprises that hires less than 10 workers, and the informal sectors are not providing any social security to the people. And opposite to that, formal sectors is the organized sector of the economy. It includes all government departments, public enterprises, private enterprises that hire 10 or more than 10 workers, and they provide all the social security benefits. So informalization is clear. Informalization means shifting from the formal to the informal sector. Try to find out the reason behind the informal sector. Listen, that's a very different, it's hard to believe, but that is a fact. Mostly what happens, and mostly what we have seen is, we have seen that with the growth and the development, there's always a shift from the informal to the formal sector. Whenever the economy grow, whenever the economy develop, we have often seen that the informal sectors shifted to the formal sector. But in India, we have seen the reverse trend. What is the thing we have seen? We have seen that with the growth of the economy, with the development of the economy, there is a shift from formal to the informal sector. And it is hard to believe that in our country, 93% of the workers are engaged in the informal sector. And the main reason behind it is economic reforms 1991. We have not implemented the economic reforms. There are loopholes in the economic reforms. We have to revive the economic reforms. Unless otherwise, the problems of the informalization cannot be solved. Now let us see the difference between the informal workers and the formal workers. On the basis of the sectors of the economy, we can say that informal workers are those workers who are engaged in the unorganized sectors, and the formal workers are those workers who are engaged in the organized sectors. On the basis of the benefit, we can say that they are entitled to the social security benefits, and the formal workers are not getting any social security benefits. On the basis of the labor law, we can say that they are informal workers, they are not protected by any labor law, whereas the formal workers are well protected by the labor law. On the basis of the nature of the work, we can say they are generally casual workers, and formal workers are the regular hired workers. I hope the point is clear to everyone. That's all I have in this video. Thanks for watching. God bless you all. Dear subscribers, if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe the channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that whenever I upload the new video, you get the notification.